England are fourth in the world in terms of FIFA ranking, but they've been playing very ugly up until now and have relied very much on their superstars. The Mexicans, I would say, are performing beyond their ranking. Got a couple of exciting young players. They've got the benefit of altitude, which we've all been becoming experts on. I personally think that Mexico might be favourites for this game. I think it's going to be really, really difficult for them. And if they do win, they'll be very lucky, I believe.
And every week at this time, I am joined by Nick Randall, the Sunday Times sports editor. Now, Nick, it was 1 a.m, then it was 7 p.m, and now it's back to 1 a.m. Despite the thunderstorm warnings, England will face Mexico in the Azteca Stadium tomorrow. Are you going to be at your local until 5 a.m. on Monday morning then?
And then getting up the kids out of bed about an hour and a half later. No, I'll be at home on my sofa. But there was there was great excitement yesterday for people in this country, I think, anyway, when we thought it might be brought forward to 7. But quickly those hopes quickly ended.
Where did it come from?
Well, it came from the fact that FIFA were attempting to do it and were discussing it and started talking to the Mexican and the English football authorities about it. So they're worried about the weather, because if they're thunderstorms and lightning, they have to, they can't just play through the rain. They have to bring the players off, put the kick-off time back, and also possibly worried about if it gets too late, the sort of potential disorder on the streets as well.
These mariachi bands can get very rowdy.
Yeah. But it was always sort of so ridiculously late to start trying to change the kickoff. So they faced sort of quite a bit of pushback and ultimately have kept it where it was. But it did for quite a while. It looked like it definitely was going to move.
Oh well. Everyone's just going to have to deal with it, aren't they?
Yeah,
do the sandwich or the squeeze, as we were discussing. Let's do a quick World Cup mop-up of the other games. What did you make of Cape Verde, however we meant to say it, versus Argentina? Bit of a scare for Messi there.
Well, yes. And I mean, they've been the story of the World Cup, really, Cape Verde, because it's such a small place, so little football heritage, and they've done well, but finally up against one of the favourites, up against Messi, and I mean, it was astonishing achievement, really. And I mean, ultimately we're kind of quite keen to see Messi in the later rounds.
Yes.
I think so. I'm not sure. I think the right result in the end, but it was a brilliant game.
It's what it's all about. It's what the World Cup's all about, all the drama. It's not just in football that England are playing as well this weekend. Nick, who are we playing in the rugby?
So in the rugby, we're out in Johannesburg playing South Africa, world champions, best team in the world by a distance, I would say. And it will be very tough. It's our first match since the Six Nations. We lost the final 4 matches of the Six Nations. In the final game of the Six Nations against France, we finally played sort of really well and played some good attacking rugby, but still lost. So the pressure's kind of on, really. And we've already, George Furbank, who'd been picked at fullback, he's had to pull out this morning, gone to hospital with appendicitis. So already the disruption's a bit kind of disturbed. So I'll be more confident that England will beat Mexico than England will beat South Africa. But it would be, if we come close to them, it will be a good result.
And we've only got one Brit still in Wimbledon. Who is he, and how far do you think he's likely to go?
I mean, he's quite French as well, which might be what's helping him. Arthur Ferry, he's playing this afternoon. He's playing, I think he might have even started or about to start very soon. So his parents are French, but he went to school in Wimbledon, and he's playing. So Bergs, who is seeded about 100, or ranked about sort of 80 places ahead of him, so would be the favourite, but it's not out of the question he could win it. But
we want upsets. We want upsets. World Cup and Wimbledon. That's what we want.
He's the sole remaining.
It's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Brit. So,
yeah. How is week 2 of Wimbledon shaping up?
Well, not very British starters, but I think it will be. It's been slightly low key, I would say, the first week, but as we get into the second week, we will, as ever, start to see the very best players facing each other, which will be much more exciting, I think.
And there is one thing we can count on next week, which is sunshine.
Yes.
So, you know, you might need 7 bottles of water and a fan, but it's not going to get rained off.
No, it's,
so,
I mean,
the
weather's been as good as it's ever been, really, and everyone who goes says what a brilliant day it is.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Nick. Great to see you. You can, of course, read all the reports in the Sunday Times tomorrow, and starting sort of 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock this afternoon with your digital subscription to the Times. Now, it is time to speak to our World Cup correspondent, Les Snowdon, who's on his World Cup race around America, or race around the continent, really. Les, you're in Houston now for Canada versus Morocco. Good afternoon, good morning. What's the vibe?
The vibe is I'm trying to look as good as Louise Callahan on Zoom and failing, and I would settle for looking as good as Nick Randall, to be honest. I'm in a cheap motel room in Houston, arrived at 2 a.m. I'm sharing it with a fellow journalist called Gary because it's, I think it was the princely sum of $77 for the room. So I went outside, but the door was too hot to touch, so I'm inside in the bathroom as Gary's sleeping.
I thought you were in your cupboard, actually, Les, because I could just see some hangers behind you. I've broadcast from cupboards before. It wouldn't be a first.
Yeah, exactly.
But nice to speak to you in your small shared bathroom, Les. You're keeping it real. That's what we like to see.
I should have said Happy 4th of July, really, and it's a biggie. It's the 250th.
It is a biggie. Yeah, what are the celebrations like in Houston today? Have you heard any, seen any?
Not started yet, but a guy last night, we're driving back to Dallas tonight, so a guy was telling us, look out for the night sky because Dallas does fireworks pretty seriously.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of night skies in Texas, from what I remember, were absolutely amazing. I remember driving from El Paso to Marfa once, which is in the high desert, and the sunsets and the sunrises, something to do with, the atmospheric, the dust particles or whatever, were absolutely stunning. You did a late drive, I understand, from Dallas to Houston. How was that?
It was fine. It started in a car hire shop, and there was a guy in the corner trying to rip us off for insurance. You've met the guy before, I'm sure.
Yes,
there was another
several times.
There was another bloke in the corner with a white cap, completely in white cap, and he had a towel on his head for some reason. And then there was 2 young women in it, and all of a sudden the whole place got gripped by Argentina versus Cape Verde. And the guy with the towel on his head went, "This is going to be the greatest upset since..." And I went, "Ever?" And he went, "Yeah, since ever. Do it for the people." So it was quite surreal. And sadly, Argentina won. And the young woman who was in front of us in the queue turned to me and said, "So, do you have a team playing?" I said, "Scotland." And she said, "Well, at least they beat Haiti."
Oh, bless her. Very gracious, very gracious. You also have met someone who has some sort of philosophical thoughts about what the World Cup is doing for America, Les.
Yeah, Roy, who I met in Dallas, was making the point to me, and I fell out with him a little bit. He was very critical of Americans that don't have passports, and I was making the point to him that, when you've got a big country like this, you don't necessarily need a passport to travel and see amazing things, but you need to travel. And he said, no, the point I'm making is that we've got these insular sports that nobody else plays, and we call them World Championships. And he was really thrilled that his country was getting involved in a World Cup, joining the world in a sport that everybody played. And he said he felt that the nation was becoming more curious, which for a taxi driver was pretty damn philosophical.
I mean, that is a really hopeful point that he made. If they are becoming more curious and they are joining in a sport that everybody else has played for quite a while, do you think that kind of hope and optimism and curiosity might last beyond the tournament?
I think there's genuinely something happening. I think there's 2 things happening, Jane. One, it was already there. You've got the kind of the diasporas, the Hispanic ones, the European ones, the Latin American ones, but definitely within people that have never been near soccer, there's an awakening. They're confused. Some of the language that's being used is extraordinary. I keep talking to people and they keep using terms that I've never heard of before, and they're actually talking about football. So one guy tried to explain to me the difference between team ball and star ball. which apparently was that one team was playing as a collective and the other one only had one decent player. But yeah, the short answer is I do think something's happening. I think there is an awakening, and I think it could extend beyond this tournament.
Well, that's really optimistic. I'm very glad to hear it. Now, Les, obviously, there is a big match happening tomorrow in Mexico. My personal correspondent in Mexico City, she says that according to her Mexican padel teacher, the Mexicans consider England to be the better team, and they're just happy that they've got this far. I mean, that sounds very kind of her padel teacher, but statistically, I think I'm right in saying Mexico have only lost 2 out of 80-something games at the Azteca, which isn't a very promising statistic, is it?
No, England are 4th in the world in terms of FIFA ranking, but they've been playing very ugly up until now and have relied very much on their superstars. The Mexicans, I would say, are performing beyond their ranking. Got a couple of exciting young players. They've got the benefit of altitude, which we've all been becoming experts on. I personally think that Mexico might be favourites for this game. I think it's going to be really, really difficult for them. And if they do win, they'll be very lucky, I believe.
What are the fans saying over there about this flip-flopping over the kickoff time as well? I mean, what a shambles. Can someone else just organise the World Cup next time? I don't think FIFA are really up to it.
Are you too young to know Mr. Magoo, the cartoon character?
I'm far too young, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's a kind of myopic, fat-faced character that wonders about not knowing what he's doing. And every time I see Gianni Infantino on the TV, I think of Mr. Magoo. Just a complete nonsense. So one of the options I had for yesterday was to fly into Mexico. For tomorrow was to fly into Mexico City. I would have arrived from Atlanta at 11:55. If they'd moved the game to noon, a lot of fans would have missed the game. It's just a complete farce.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sad for us that it hasn't been moved earlier, because we're going to have to try and stay up until 5 a.m. But anyway, we'll deal with that later. But yes, I mean, you can't ask international footballers to suddenly, hoof it to play a game 6 hours earlier, can you?
Absolutely not. Modern football is all about nutrition, sleep patterns, and then you factor in altitude. When we're on Mexico, have you got just a minute and I can tell you about breakfast yesterday?
I'd love to hear about your... I mean, who needs to hear the news? We want to hear about your breakfast, Les, always.
Well, but this isn't actually a food one. It was like having breakfast inside a Bruce Springsteen lyric or an Isabel Allende novel. I was sitting with this guy, Gary, that I've been travelling with, and we noticed this little Mexican family. There's a kid with a strip on, so I start talking to the dad. He's driving from Mexico to Nebraska because he's just got a new job as a mine technician. His son kisses the badge. His wife's crying. We've no idea why she was crying. She was either incredibly proud or wanted to stay in Mexico. But it was just like... And he actually turned to me and said, I am going to give my family the American dream.
Oh, wow. And where did you meet them, Les?
So that was breakfast in Dallas.
Breakfast in Dallas.
Equally salubrious motel.
Yeah, I mean, but this is what it's all about. People say, is the American dream gone sour? And then you meet people for whom, getting there has meant everything, and their optimism and their hope in making it to that country, is very, very real.
It's extraordinary. I was at the USA Bosnia game, and there was a Bosnia woman, and she was walking very slowly, so she was walking at my pace. So I was speaking to her, and she said she had to stop to cry every now and again because she was from Bosnia and it was such a small country. And she was speaking in very broken English. So I said, "How long have you been here for?" Expecting her to say 6 months. She said 26 years. She then told me that she put her children through university. One of them was pregnant. Just life-enhancing stories.
Absolutely. And that's why we love speaking to you, Les. Thank you so much for not just your football insights from your cupboard in your motel, but also the life insights. That is Les Snowdon, Times Radio's World Cup correspondent, speaking to us from a cupboard somewhere in Houston.